Hey, what's up, guys? It's Lewis at that Convention Guy Collectibles, and today I'm coming to you with something a little different. This is going to be a tips or techniques that I use to help you get the best quality autographs for your items. And there's a few things that I do, and I'll start with testing it. Okay, that's one of my major tips. Is you want to know. I see this question a lot on a lot of the Facebook groups. I have this item. Where should I get it signed? Or more than that, what color should I use to get it signed? This is a huge debate, and everybody has a preference. Some people like uniformity, so they'll get their items all signed in one color. Some people like it to be colorful, so you see the different signatures. Either way, sometimes the items are dark, sometimes the items are light. So color choice can make or break an item. And I've seen it so many times because I have a pop that was signed in a Sharpie and I hated it. I hate black Sharpie and I just did not like the way it looked. So what did I do? I scrapped that, got another one, and had them signed in a paint pen. So much better looking. I had another one signed in a red Sharpie, and it was one of my first signatures, and that's because I didn't bring markers. It was new to it. Actually, yeah, it was my very first con. And he signed it in red Sharpie, and I was like, oh, that's cool. At least it's not black, right? It was horrible, terrible. And I still have that pop, actually. I haven't seen the celebrity again in all the times that I've been to other conventions. So what I always suggest to people is testing it. And what do I mean by that? So here's a couple things that I did. You can figure this out, in your own way. But I'm a sports card collector. So I have a bunch of these top loaders or card savers, penny sleeves, whatever you can use. If you don't have access to these, I think they sell them at Targets and Walmarts for $3 or something for like 25, maybe $5 for 25 at this point. You can go to any card shop, comic book shop, things like that. They all have them. If you don't have access to one of those things, you can get sheet protectors. A lot of people have sheet protectors in their house just sitting there from when they bought a box of 100 and they only needed 10. You can take a sheet protector, cut it up, and create little swatches, little boxes. Or just use the sheet protector whole. So that's something else that I had done. Here's an example. I took a sheet protector and I just cut it into strips. And why did I do this? Again, I'm testing the colors. So what I do is I take each one of my colors of the pens, and that's another thing. You're going to have to buy some paint pens. My suggestion is you try to find a multi-pack. That's usually 5 or 6 colors, probably about 15 to 20 bucks. Well worth the investment to have your piece look exactly how you want it. And so again, I have, and I kept it simple. I just wrote what color it was. So black paint pen, silver, pink, magenta, purple, lime green, and then regular green. Also important so that you remember what colors they actually are. And I say that because for a few times I had asked for a blue paint pen, and it turns out that it wasn't blue. It was actually aqua. When they used blue, it was a totally different color. And I was like, what the heck is this? I asked for blue. And it was blue. It was the normal blue. The one that I was using, though, was aqua. That's the one that I actually wanted. And I actually have a sample of that right here. So here's red. Here's the aqua color I like. It's always bold. And then there's the blue. Again, bold. The blue is nice too, but I was looking for that lighter color. And then I have brown. As you can see, these are starting to wear out. But that's actually not a bad thing because I actually went to the baseball things after this. This was my first model. So here's the gold paint pen, yellow and orange. Okay, so that's my first thing I do is I marked up the colors. Again, this was my first generation using the sleeves, using the page protectors that I cut. Then I went to penny sleeves, which again, I think baseball card shops or even Targets and Walmart sell these for like 100 for $1 or $2 or $3 or something like that. So, and again, I just wrote down what color it was using that marker. And the idea is that it's easy to maneuver and that kind of stuff. But as you see, they're also fading, they're chipping and all that kind of stuff. So I may need to update those. All right, then I just put a little clip on them, put them in the drawer till the next time I need it, right? Now, one other thing you can do, and I did this for myself because I use disc plates all the time. It's probably my favorite thing to get signed. It's a small enough piece that you can take with you, but it's a bigger than just an 8x10 where it's kind of boring. Plus the art on these things is pretty awesome, spectacular. Plus they're metal, magnetic, and that just helps with transporting so that they don't get damaged. So what I did is I went on eBay and I found the cheapest disc plate I could find. And it ended up being perfect because it was black. And the reason I say that's perfect is because most of the time, if you have a lighter thing that you're getting signed, most colors are going to look good. But sometimes when you have dark, the colors don't show up the same way. For any of you who have seen my other videos, like I had a Star Wars piece, and on the dark background, I used a red paint pen. And depending on how well the marker is primed, the red looks really good or it looks okay. And what that tells me is don't use red or don't use a color like that on the dark background. Now with that piece, there's not a lot you can do to it, but that lets me know for future pieces, don't get darker pieces. So I'm always looking for the lighter pieces now. All right. So anyway, back to what I was saying. So I went on eBay and I purchased a dark disc plate. Now this one happens to be Edward Cullen from Twilight or the Batman, Robert Pattinson, whatever you know him by. But so this is the piece here. And I'm going to bring it closer so you can see. All I did is I started marking it up with the different colors on the black so I could see what it would look like. See, the greens look good, pinks, whites, all that kind of stuff. Here's one of the reds right there. I just started signing my name. See, and then this one's red medium pen, and then this one's red fine. So I could see the difference in the, the size of the markers as well. Did a couple on the lighter backgrounds of his face. Again, just so I could see what the paint colors would look like on the different materials. Okay, so that is something that I highly recommend. Now, what can you do if you don't want to spend the money on a disc plate? I did this the other day. I went to the dollar store and I got a frame. It was $1. And I could sign right there on the glass or take the photo that they usually put inside and sign on that. Again, gives you some ideas. Thrift stores always have artwork and things for a couple bucks. Next time you got a garage sale or a Goodwill or anything like that, just look in their frame section. You can usually find some type of art or something that you can use just to test. You may even have something around your house that you don't really care that much about. Again, I think I paid like, I want to say $8 to $10 for this one. Normally these are like $40. Although I think they raised their price now to $50. But anyway, at the time I was like $10 investment to find out which marker looks the best on the darker images, or to see what they look like, to test the markers. To me was well worth it, because I've been able to use this so many times to get my items to look the way I want them versus just going with it and seeing what happens. Like a black Sharpie on this would look horrible unless they sign on the face. But I also did that because why? I want to see what it looked like with autographs on the face versus autographs on the sides and the blacks. And I had seen an interview with Todd McFarlane. For those of you who know or don't know, he's a comic book artist. He did the Spawn series. He does toys, action figures, all sorts of stuff. But I remember him doing an interview where he was doing an autograph signing and people kept bringing him comic books. And they would label where they wanted it signed. And he was so frustrated because they kept having him sign over the artwork. And he said, guys, use the dead space. Like, whatever dead space there may be, that's the space that you want to sign. Don't cover this beautiful artwork. And so I kind of go with the same thing here. This is the artwork. The black around it is the dead space. So to me, if on most of my items, I don't sign on the artwork or the person, I will sign on the dead space in the outsides. And to me, it looks so much better. Now, does this look bad? No. If you have a bunch of signatures, no, it's not going to look bad. But for me, use the dead space. I agree with Tom McFarland 100%. So that's why I bought this, so I could test the markers, I could test the placements, that kind of stuff. So that's tip number 2. All right, so back to my cards. So I ended up doing these, and I wrote on here white paint pen is awesome, aqua is amazing, and then I just signed it myself with my signature because I wanted to see what the autograph itself would look like. Now, I want to show you this one because this to me is important. So here is a gold paint pen. Here is a gold Sharpie. See the difference? I'm gonna hold them up side by side so you can see why it's so important. Now, if I put that on a Funko Pop, it's a clear plastic just like this. This gold Sharpie is not gonna be bold. It's not gonna stand out. This gold paint pen does stand out. So very important, like, to find that out. Why? Because a lot of celebrities go to sign Sharpies with, or go to sign Pops with Sharpies. And yes, you can have a Sharpie that looks okay. It might even pop a little bit, but it doesn't compare with the paint pen. And so that right there, again, told me, like, scrap all these stupid Sharpies. I bought a bronze, a metallic bronze, a gold, metallic gold, some silvers, all sorts of, and they were all just regular Sharpies, which, hey, in a pinch, in a bind, they work. And for some items, they probably work really well. But I noticed that on plastic like this, something like a Funko Pop or an action figure, it's not gonna look good. It's not gonna look as good as, say, this would look. So was this worth the $5 investment to buy these to test it? Absolutely. Because it told me right off the bat, like, don't go with anything outside of a paint pen. Okay. All right. So using these, I'm able to go through all the different colors, right? And yes, I've bought all these colors because I wanted to test them. Because you know what? I may never use this orange. But then I found that the Weasleys with the, like, you know, the red hair, the orange hair, whatever you want to call it, the Gryffindor colors, things like that, like the orange really pops. So that's why I have it. The lime green, I almost never use it. But every once in a while, you'll have something like, let's say, the Arrow from the CW show, the Green Arrow, or if I was doing a Green Lantern or something like that. I have a regular green. This is the regular green. But as you can see, it's a little bit darker. So depending on what I'm putting it on, perhaps the lime green is a better way to go. And it's still green, and it still looks really, really good. In fact, I had this recently. What did I use this for? Ninja Turtles or something like that? I don't know. Yellow's always good. Here's a bronze Sharpie. And again, it's like, it just fades, it like goes away versus that yellow. See the difference? Paint pen versus just a Sharpie. This magenta, I almost never use. Came in a like multi-pack, but it's a really good color, and I have used it several times. Some of the Walking Dead women have used this. And normally, like, I'll walk up and say, like, hey, you know, like, do you have a favorite color? And sometimes they'll be like, no, not really. And I'll have the magenta, a pink, a purple, blue, red, you know, kind of on my necklace all the time. And they'll be like, ooh, let's try that one. And so they use it. So anyway. All right, so what do I do with these? And this is a very important thing. This is probably the most important part of this video. And that is, like I said, testing. Get your item, get your samples. And then the best thing is you can just move it around. So this is one that I just got done, right? And it's signed right there by Peter Cullen. It's a very nice piece. Honestly, they could have signed in so many places. I mean, this is kind of dead space, but it's not. It's actually part of his leg. So I probably wouldn't have had it signed there. I probably would have gone up here or over here. But actually, I don't mind it where it ended up. I mean, you could have even signed it on the truck. You know, there's a lot of places. So what do I do? So first thing I do, so take my swatch, my little sample. This is gold. and I'll put it on there. How does that look? It looks like crap. That doesn't go well at all. So I get rid of that one. I'm not even going to try the Sharpie. Then I have white paint pen. I use this for a lot of things. But how does the white look on the light background? It's not great. It's not great. It's probably going to like be hidden. Probably won't even see it. So I skip that. And I go aqua. Now this is the color that I actually wanted, not blue. But that's, again, my bad. So again, you move it up, you move it down, okay? Most of the time they like to sign like places like this. This happens with a lot of athletes. Oh, it's terrible. If you look at a lot of sports autographs, they always sign on their clothes. And I get why they do it, because normally the uniforms are the brightest color. They're usually white. And so therefore, when they use a black Sharpie, which is what most athletes use, you'll see it on the white uniform way better than you will on the grass or the sky or whatever is going on in the photo. So if you look at a lot of sports items, if you're looking for the autograph, you can usually look by the butts or the legs, because that's usually where the white pants are, and that's usually where the autographs are put. So I always use this for when I'm doing it, so that way I can mark somewhere else, usually in the dead space. All right, so anyway, back to this. Now, I love the way that this looks because it brings it in from right there on his chest plate. There's also different shades of blue. That's why the blue didn't come out bad. It's just not my favorite, again. And this was one of those that I sent in and I said, hey, sign it in blue. I wasn't that picky because this one was not for my personal collection. And again, just one of those mix-ups with Chris that I always use aqua. I never use blue. And so he probably didn't have the aqua, so he went with the blue. But still looks good. Anyway, so I would have said like putting this right there or putting this right here. By being able to move this around, I can see, what color looks good. So this blue looks good. So what I do now is I hold this off to the side and I say, okay, that's a maybe. Then I try the orange. Now there's no orange in this thing, so to me that kind of looks weird. So I'd get rid of that. Pink. I mean, you could say there's a little bit of, in the shading and stuff, there's pink, but I don't know. Does pink make sense for Optimus Prime? Probably not, so I get rid of that one. Green. Again, there's not any green in here, but I can try the green. I'm going to bring you guys closer. Hi. Okay. So, green, and try the different placements. I don't like it. Get rid of it. Lime. If the green didn't work, lime probably is not going to work either. All right. Nope. Not even going to try the Sharpie. All right. Yellow. Now, there is some yellow right there, so we could try to incorporate yellow. I need a new yellow. This one looks jacked up. Okay. Anyway, point is there's some yellow down here as well. So yellow actually, like right there, probably wouldn't have looked bad, but it's probably not as good as the aqua. But I'm going to put that to the side just in case. I don't think silver, because silver is just going to disappear unless you put it, again, this is what they'll do, is put it on the color, but I don't like that. Purple, again, there's really no need. There's no purple anywhere in here. So you can do it because it's bold, it's something different. But for me, I like to use something that's within the picture. Here's magenta. And again, you can move it around to different places just to see what it would look like. And I don't know all their signatures, so that's why I use my signature, just to kind of give me an idea. Here's brown. Now, you might be wondering, why did he write brown is cool? I just did that with all of them because if I'm doing an inscription, I want to know what the inscription would look like, Okay, white, again, terrible because it just kind of blends. Again, if you did it on the color, then maybe you have something, but I don't want that. It's too many good places. All right, so then you have red. Now there is some red in here, although it is kind of a lighter shade. But if I had gone with red right there, that would look really pretty. That would look pretty good. If I gone red up here, red over here, anywhere you go with red, I think on this piece, because there's so much red, would look good. Right there in the middle. So red is definitely a good color choice. And then here's the blue that I thought I was getting when I said blue, which is a blue paint pen. Instead, this looks like a blue Sharpie. The more I look at this, the more I'm getting disappointed. Anyway, so because this blue matches so much better and it pops. I mean, look at the signature that's there versus that blue. Anyway, so again, you figure out, okay, on this piece, where would I go with it? And you have a lot of options depending on the color that you use. So now what I did is I narrowed it down, and I have my probably 4 or 5 pieces that I think would look really good. And then it's just a matter of deciding which one I want. So the blue, again, turned out really good. I could definitely see the blue working. Red, because there's a lot of red in here, so that works. So the red would have been really good. Now, if you want to go something completely different, you could pick up the yellow that's there and the yellow that's down here. So by using yellow, it kind of brings that color in, which is actually pretty cool. Okay, and then the aqua, which is again just something that kind of matches the different shades of blue. I think the aqua probably would have been my choice because I picked that for everything. I just love that color. So there you have it. So again, what is the point of all this? Marking your items, doing some tests. You start off by creating your samples, and then by having them. That was one of my things. So I had them on the sheet protectors, those strips, and moving those around and seeing them was more difficult because there was 6 or 7 on a page. So being able to just isolate the one color is difficult. That's why I ended up going to individual little swatches. You can use Ziploc bags. Most of us have those in the house, just right on it. You just have to be careful because it's a little flimsy. So you don't get exactly what you're looking for, but you at least have a better idea. So I use these little swatches because they're hard. They're a little bit harder plastic, a little bit more rigid, so easier to move around and see exactly what you're doing. But yeah, get your little swatches, get yourself some test items, and even if you don't do that, just use the swatches on the item that you want to have signed. You can move it around. You can see what color you like best. And sometimes it's going to be a surprising color. Like looking at this, I would have thought 100% red or 100% blue, or 50-50, right? I guess you can't have 100% of both. But I would have thought either one of those or the aqua would have been the right color. And yet, to me, I think the yellow probably would have been pretty cool. It would have been something different. And I think it would have brought in the yellow from those 2 spots. And that may have been pretty cool. Especially if you think about if you're going to get something framed, think about what matte color you're going to frame and what then maybe you get it, double matted, what that little strip of color might be. So on something like this, maybe I would have used yellow as the inside matte. And then for the larger matte, maybe go with a blue or a red. And then that would look pretty awesome. And again, bring in that little yellow piece. Or maybe I would go with a blue outer matte and then a red thin line on the inside. In which case the signature color, if it was yellow, wouldn't have mattered. But anyway, my point is, think about that stuff too as you're going to get it signed, because you may want to bring in another color, or you may want to just kind of go with the color of what you're thinking about matting it. Now, if you go black and white, simple mattes, which I do a lot of, then yeah, you don't need to worry about that stuff. But yeah, so again, here are my tips. Get you some samples. Again, these are little rigid baseball card holders. I think you can get a pack of 25 for $5. They sell them on Amazon, Target, Walmart, your comic book shops, your baseball card shops, things like that. You can mark it up. Get your markers on Amazon too if you want, or anywhere that they sell those kinds of markers. Again, I love the Sharpie paint pens. Other people use Deco or they use other brands. I just like the boldness of the Sharpies, and you can find them pretty much anywhere. That was one of the issues I had one time, the very first convention that I went to, when he signed it in red Sharpie, and I hated it. I realized I need to get some markers. And I was in the middle of nowhere in New Jersey, and I ended up getting an Uber to take me to a Michaels store and getting Sharpie paint pens. Sometimes you don't have access to a Michaels. Sometimes you may only be able to find a Walmart. I say Michaels, meaning a craft shop. You may only have access to Walmart or Target, which I've had to do as well. So those stores usually will carry the Sharpies. They don't carry all the other ones. So that's why I tend to go with the Sharpie paint pens. Get your little samples and then be able to use them to mark up your thing. Or not to mark it up, but to kind of test where to get the signature, what color is going to look best. And then that way, when you figure it out, you can mark it all up and get it ready for your autograph signing. So anyway, that's going to do it for today. I hope this was helpful. I know for me, it is taking my items from mediocre to something that I'm proud of having. And I'm going to show you one example before I go. I was just about to say goodbye. This was something that I wanted to have done, and you'll see it's a Dexter piece, Dexter Morgan from the Showtime show. Let me just turn it around. Hopefully you guys can see that. I should probably turn on some light. Actually, all the lights are on. All right. Okay, so hard to see because the lighting right here is terrible. But basically, it's Dexter Morgan laying in blood, like a pool of blood. So again, I tried going with a red, but the red just kind of is blurred out. I could have gone with white, and I think white would look amazing over the red. But I decided to go with that aqua because I really like the aqua. Now, what do you notice? It's all in the dead space. I did not go over Dexter himself. So again, using the dead space. Then when I got it framed, I pulled in the blue from the signatures using the matting. But a white would have looked really good with this. See if I have some others I can show. Here's another one. This is my Lucifer from Netflix. And okay, so in this photo, hard to see, there's a lot of oranges, there's purples, different shades of red and orange, right? I decided, again, I went with aqua. Why? Because it just stuck out. It was just something a little different. And then when I got it matted, I went with this purple matte. Now, normally I'm a white and black, mattes only. But I found that the purple that's in his coat was just a really cool color. And so I pulled that out in the matte. But I went with that aqua because it just stands out. It's something a little different. You can see that it's signed and it complements the piece versus just like, whoa, what the heck is that? Again, I tend to go with that aqua a lot. This was just a dark piece. But again, without my swatches to be able to test it, I would have never been able to think that the blue would look good on a dark background like that. Here's one that I haven't gotten done. I purchased this like this with blue Sharpie, not a paint pen. All right, here's some of the ones that I've done on disc plates. Now I went with blue. I went with the dark blue on this one, this paint pen, because I think the aqua was just too light for everything else that's in there. This Batman piece, I went with yellow. A lot of different options, but I thought that the yellow would stand out and yet go with the rest of the photo. My 24 piece, I just decided to go with yellow all the way around. Here's that aqua again. Now I could have gone with yellow. Yellow would look good. But where yellow becomes a problem is if they sign over their coats, it disappears. And if you see right there, you get kind of close, right? Down there. If that was yellow, it would have disappeared in the first part of that signature. So that's also something to keep in mind, where they're signing and what they could do when you're picking out a color piece. Game of Thrones, and I decided to just go with red. Now this one was a very difficult one. In fact, I'm going to pull this out, show you more in the light. Now, why was this one difficult? Because it is like tans and browns and shades of silver. And figuring out a color that on the outer end, no matter what color you use, it's going to look pretty good, right? But this is what I'm talking about. When you get into the artwork, what color would have looked good? I tried white. I tried brown. Brown looked really good on the outsides, but when you get right in the middle, it disappears. I thought about blue. I thought about all these different colors. And by using the swatches, I was able to decide that, for me, red was one that stood out and made sense for the piece. All right, guys, so there you have it. Some examples, some of the pieces that I've done. Another Back to the Future one. And I wish, this is a very good example. Let me show you this one. This is a very good example of what happens when you use a different color. So what do we notice here? I notice a very bold Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown. I notice a very bold Tom Wilson. And then I have a Michael J. Fox that's kind of hidden, or not hidden, but definitely not the same boldness. Why? It's a different color. That's the aqua. That's a blue. That's an aqua. Now, you might say, well, why didn't you have him use the aqua? Because anybody who knows the Michael J. Fox signings, it is like a conveyor belt. And he signed it by the time you even get up there to see him. You don't have any interaction with Michael. It's like a conveyor belt. One person hands it to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. He signs, and it keeps getting passed on. And so I didn't even get a chance to switch out the marker. And by that point, it was too late. So it is what it is. I still like it. Still a great piece. Still signed. Just not as good as I would have liked. So, all right. Wow, that's a long video. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. I recently saw on Raleigh Galaxy Con Facebook group, people were going so much about what color should I use? What item should I get signed? I don't know what to do. And I was just like, I have to make a video to talk to these people. Yeah, get yourself some samples, get yourself some markers, try it out yourself. And then that way you can move it around your item and determine A, what's the best color? B, where's the best placement? Those things are really important. And especially if you're going to do consignments where you're sending it off to someone, you want it as clear and as concise as possible. So having it all marked up, ready to go with what paint color and where to sign it, so much more helpful than saying, yeah, just go with it, because then you're going with whatever you get. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was beneficial. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.